Welcome back, Davidson's All Natural Gym.
Not far from your tree fort. Not far from your tree fort.
Okay, let me see if I can find you in Messenger.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sawmill and Forestry Roundtable. There's Craig.
Yeah, can we try that?
We're supposed to have Joe Maine join us tonight. We're having a technical difficulties. Hopefully, we'll get him on soon. But in the meantime, looks like we already got quite a few people watching. Welcome back. We got Michael Wilson with us today.
Hello.
Paul from Southern Adirondacks. We have John from Davidson's All Natural Gym. We have Tim from Two Brothers Outdoors. We have Craig right there in black and white because they don't have color out there in Utah yet. With a quilted Sawyer. And I'm Rick with Two Brothers Outdoors. Welcome back. So we'll start this out while we're waiting for Joe to get on here. We'll start this out. Paul from Southern Adirondacks and Andy have put an addition on their sawmill. You want to tell us what it is, Paul?
Sure. Friday the 13th, let's see, it was around lunchtime, I ordered from Wood-Mizer in New York a power feed. And as the 15th of this month, so just a couple days ago, and it came in the next day, Saturday, regular UPS ground delivery. I got it installed over the weekend. Definitely a big back saver, not hunched over so much cranking the thing away. This all went on very good. No problems. A couple bolts were a little too long for the holes that they had to go into, but otherwise, it's smooth and easy.
Hi, Craig.
Yeah.
That was John Davidson.
Okay.
He was going to send me the same link. He said just create an account.
Okay. Yeah. No, my wife freaking took off over the babysit. So
As you can see, we're having technical difficulties.
So were you able to figure it out?
So how much have you used the new power feed, Paul? Have you used it a lot?
No, just had it on that one day. It's been cold and rainy, either rainy and miserable here or cold and rainy. So I just used it on that one log that was in the video. I finished that log up. But it worked nice, saving the back, made nice smooth cuts because with the hand crank you get sort of a pulsing sensation of turning the crank there. It makes little pulses. But with the power feed, it's nice and smooth. And even with an old blade on it, made a nice smooth cut.
So you're happy. you're happy with the results of it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Michael, you haven't joined us in a while. How's things going out there in the in Oregon?
Things are going well. I haven't been doing a whole lot of sawmilling though. The latest thing on my sawmill, the legs that adjust the bed are all locked up, froze up. I've been considering getting the Wood-Mizer Go package to turn it into a trailer. That way I don't have to have a good foundation under it. That's part of the problem, is I never made a good foundation under it. Problem is those are about $3,000 now after shipping for the Go. It would be nice to have. I'm debating whether to do that or just to mount it on a trailer. But I haven't been doing a whole lot of milling lately. Hopefully Joe Maine will get on here so we can get some good cutting edge information from him.
Yeah, I got
a
a few questions for Joe.
Go ahead, Craig. I had muted. Craig,
Yeah.
go ahead. I had you muted.
Oh, sorry. He was just trying to do what you were asking to do to get hooked up.
Okay. Tell him to give me a call if he needs to.
Copy that.
Copy that.
So
Greg,
we got some Christmas gifts this year. We got a couple of debarkers from Hud-son that go on the end of a chainsaw. It's kind of a low budget debarker if you needed one for your sawmill. Those work really well. Takes a little bit to mount them. You got to drill 2 holes in the bar. My biggest problem was getting a chain fitted to the poolin saw because the poolin has such a narrow bar. I went to the next size chain up, which is a 20-inch, and I used one off the Husqvarna, but the Husqvarna's got a real fat bar on it. So chain was too long. I had to shorten it. But we managed to get one for Tim's. You got one from the steel Hud-son? Where'd you get your chain from to fit the poolin?
Oh, no, I got that from Ace.
Ace Hardware?
Yeah, it's just a regular 20-inch chain.
So the debarker comes with 2 sprockets. It comes with a 3/8 and a 1/4-inch sprocket. So it'll fit just about any chain out there. So those are pretty nice. We haven't had a chance to use them on a log yet, but we did get to play with it a little bit. And they chew through the wood pretty fast.
So, Rick, are you on 2G or 5G?
I'm not sure. Why? Am I delaying?
You're skipping a little bit.
Let me see. I'm on 2.
Okay.
I'll switch it real quick.
So how do you keep that? You just debark the whole log with that thing?
You
Or is
can.
it white? Or is it white enough where you can guess where the blade's
Run
gonna
your
go
blade,
or what?
or
It's only
if
about
you
this
have
wide,
a lot
John.
of dirt in the log, you could debark the whole log with it.
It's only about this wide, John. About this wide. Ah!
Got it.
It's
I know
about 4
exactly how
inches,
wide that
6
is.
inches wide.
I think it's actually about 4 inches wide, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It uses your standard 4-inch planer blades. So if you dull a blade, you can buy the blades for them. But they wouldn't have to be as sharp as a planer blade because you're just cutting bark. Craig, what's new in your neck of the woods?
I've got decent weather. I've got decent weather for my work, but I don't have anything pressing.
Nothing pressing.
Yeah, no, I'm just about a year behind.
John Davison, you had a little accident with a log on the back of your mill.
I did have a little accident. That was a little bit more than a little accident. That was quite the deal.
Did it damage anything?
Nope. It bounced right off the tire and missed the chain. Didn't do anything to the chain, and we jacked it up, and then picked it up with the tractor, put it right back on. Well,
Hey,
we did a lot of cursing first and a lot of editing for that video, and I shut the cameras off a couple times. But
Rick, there's a question down there. You might be
Okay.
able to answer.
Any ideas on how to rig a thick cookie on a mill deck, make it stable enough to cut? In the past, we actually took firewood logs that were 18 inches tall or so, and we screwed them down to a 2x8 from the bottom, and then dogged the 2x8 down on the mill and use that to cut cookies. I suppose you could do the same thing, but Wood-Mizer and Hud-son both have cookie cutter jigs for sale. I don't know what kind of mill you're running.
You could also
But-
watch MSD making sawdust. He has some videos cutting cookies.
Does he
Right.
really?
He doesn't show in detail his jig, but I think he uses straps and things to tighten them
Right.
down.
yeah, and then when John was on here, last, he said he puts a board right underneath it, and then just screws the cookie to the board,
Right.
and then you just don't saw close enough to hit those screws. Of course.
Yeah,
But I
we've
just set
done
it on 2 boards. And then just clamp right to the cookie, but it'll stay on those boards, and
What
that'll
about
hold
your
it.
kids, Joe? Sometimes I
if
have
you
to
get
ask
it
my
good.
kids.
Yeah, we've used the board method where you just take a 2x8 or a 2x10 and screw it right straight down to from the bottom through the board up into the log,
I wish my
and that stabilizes it pretty good where you can cut cookies as long as you don't get too aggressive.
I didn't know anything about this stuff.
Well, that you made a jig too.
Yeah, we made a jig eventually, but if somebody just wants to cut something now, the quickest way is to screw it down to a board and then dog the board down on the mill.
Correct. So hello everybody that's come in tonight. Appreciate you stopping by. We're trying to get Joe Maine on. He's on a little bit of technical difficulty, so please stand by.
So there's a question about a saw blade on here.
Good.
Let me see if I can bring it up. I have a lot of dead ash from the emerald ash borer. The logs are dry. What Wood-Mizer blade would you use? We use a 10-degree blade for just about everything. We find that 10 degree works well for us, but I know there's others on here that use different blades. Paul, we'll start with you.
Ash, this time of year, I would use a 4-degree. It's because where it's frozen. Depending on where this gentleman's from, I don't. But 10-degree work okay during the summer, we find as well. But dead ash, probably a 4-degree.
John?
What I need to know what mill he has. If he has a high enough horsepower, just run a 10 on there. And
Yeah.
That'll be
It'll cut
40
frozen.
horsepower.
40
40?
horsepower. Yeah.
And let's put a V8 on there, Paul.
He's
Just
got
run a 10
a
on there. It'll work.
he's got an LT40 with a 40 horsepower Kubota on it.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So Paul, if that ash is frozen, does a 4 degrees still go through that pretty well?
An HM 126.
Yeah, the 4-degree does go through well, yeah. Slower, but it goes through well.
Gotcha. All right, so bolt to the bottom works okay. Like screw LD, I'll give it a try tomorrow. Cool.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Work. Just screw it and then clamp it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just use deck screws. Just use like 4 deck screws when we were doing it.
And make sure your first cut is slow, so you can just see how it feels.
Yeah.
Rick, you want to answer Thunderous Nights?
Yes. All right. So here's the thing. If you're going to buy a mill,
Yep.
don't buy a starter mill. if you think you're going to get into milling and doing this for a little more than just once a week or once a month, go with a bigger mill. Get something with a 20 horsepower or bigger. Get something that's capable of cutting 30-inch logs or bigger. There's nothing wrong with the starter mills, but the starter mills, almost everybody that buys one ends up buying a bigger mill. Well, I would say get a mill that's capable of cutting 30 or 36-inch log, something that's got 20 horsepower on it or more. And you want to get something pretty heavy, something that's going to hold up. I think the LT15 wide would fit that category, wouldn't it, Paul?
Yep, the wide comes with a 25 horsepower, I believe, and 36-inch width.
And then Hud-son also has the Oscar 30 and the Oscar 36 and the HFE 30 and the HFE 36, and all these mills I think can be gotten for right around 10 grand, right? Right or wrong?
Right. Yep. I don't know about the L15, Paul.
15, depending on what options. It's been around, I think, 11, 12. If you add the trailer package, probably gets up around 15.
My
about the wide version?
start was 6,000. I don't know what it is now. It only has a 14 horse engine on it. I think it all depends on how big the logs you're cutting. I cut a lot of smaller logs, and that 14 on the LT15 works just fine. But if I was to cut bigger logs, I would say get a bigger mill with a bigger engine.
Correct.
I only have experience with wood miser. I would say an LT15 minimum.
Well, they make
Correct.
the LT15 in wide now, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so that would handle a bigger log.
So what are Wood Miser's starter mills, Craig? That's the LX?
Yeah, the LX is the twin rail version. And then like the LT28 or the LT25 or 35 would be the smaller cantilever style.
So what's the throat on those? How big of a log could those handle?
My LT35, I had like 8.5 inches from the band to the top of the throat is all.
Okay,
But
what about width?
The width was like 23 max, 23 to 26, I think. And that was a 26 horse Kohler.
Now you got a 40 and a 50
Yeah, my
wide,
40
right?
and 50 both are the 38 horse Kohler. They're
Both of those are wides?
They're both wides. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, I think the LT wides will handle up to 32 inches wide as far as the cant goes. And the Hud-son mills, the 30 and the 36 and the Hud-son mills will also cut 32 inches plus wide between the guides. So that's pretty wide. That's pretty wide cant.
It's very wide.
Does the LX versions have a replacement or an equivalent to the LT15? Or are those all smaller?
I think they're all smaller.
My dad had an LT10, and there were a lot of things like about that, like the 4-post system instead of the cantilever, that I think were better.
I've seen a couple of the LT35s with a diesel option and the LT15 with a diesel option also. They're the smaller diesels, obviously, but they do have an option for those.
Which makes an LT15 a pretty big mill.
Yes, sure. Even the LT15 wide can cut bigger than I can.
Right. Yeah, but now all those diesels are going to be emission compliant, which means that they're going to have to regen at some point, which
the bigger ones that are the 50 horse or bigger.
Gotcha.
I don't think the smaller ones are like that.
There's Joe.
Okay, so
there he is.
Sawbucks. Hello, Joe. Sawbucks is talking about the Timber King 1220. That can handle up to a 29-inch log, 16-inch throat. The Timber King 1220, do you know how much that in the price range that is, Steve?
Steve. Oh.
Steve.
Yeah,
was Steve.
Sawbuck's name is Steve.
Oh,
Joe, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How's everybody?
Everybody's fine. I see you got the technical difficulty straightened out.
Yeah, finally. Yeah, John knew what to do.
Craig couldn't help you, huh?
Not
Yeah.
not with that.
We're technically impaired, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Okay, so everybody, Joe Maine has been able to join us. Joe, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and
Well, I've been with Woodmiser about 3 months now as blade sales, but before that, I was with a company in South Georgia, Industrial Cutting Tools, and we were a Woodmiser dealer, and I sold blades there for about 10 years. So, not entirely new to it, but still got a lot to learn with mostly with the equipment. But I've been selling blades quite a while.
so you're pretty knowledgeable about what blades do what, correct?
Somewhat. I can point you in the right direction, maybe.
I've got until we get the audience here with some questions. I got some questions for you, Joe.
Sure.
So, cost-wise, how much longer use do you get out of a carbide tip blade than you would say a regular double hard, board foot-wise, before you have to sharpen it?
Well, I don't know about the board footage. If you don't hit a nail and tear it up, it's well worth the extra money, but it's quite an expensive blade to hit metal with and tear up. So if you're going to run it, you need to be sure you're in clean wood.
You have to have a special stone to sharpen that too, correct?
It's it's not the regular CBN wheel. It's a diamond wheel.
Right.
Yeah, Woodmiser does sell them though.
How is it with dirt?
I'm sorry?
How is it with dirt? The carbide.
Really?
How does it do with dirt?
I mean, it's going to hold up a lot better than the double hard, but that will shorten the life of it.
So, I guess basically what I'm asking is, the carbide blade is like double the price of a regular blade, or a little bit more?
Probably more than that. If a regular blade's $25, a carbide blade is probably $75.
Okay.
That's just round numbers off the top of my head. I'd have to look up your particular blade.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to find out cost effective. If the carbide blade,
they're quite expensive, but if you can run it without hitting anything and get the life out of it, it's worth it. I feel like.
now regular standard blade or the double hards, eventually they start cracking from use. They get stress cracks, and the carbide does the same thing, correct?
In the band itself, it will eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about shoot, I can't remember what I was going to say. What's the other blade, Craig, we were talking about? Not the carbide, but the
bimetal.
Bimetal, yeah.
Yeah, the bimetal's a tough blade. It's not as expensive as carbide. I think a lot of people use them resawing reclaimed beams. The drier wood they work good with, and they'll cut a few nails, and they're not going to cut a lot, but a lot of people use it for that. And
that's basically
blade.
how we hooked up on me getting bands from you, was having to get those bimetal bands to do those customer logs that I had those pin nails in.
Yeah, you
that?
ran a bunch of them, hadn't you, Craig?
Yeah, I've been real happy with the bimetal bands. I do a lot of reclaims on turning older materials back into something reusable again.
So the bimetal would be the next expensive one versus the carbide, right? Next one down.
Yeah, bimetal is probably double the price of a double hard.
Okay.
Like I say, if a double hard's $25, a bimetal is probably 45 or 50-ish.
Okay. Now, I also read somewhere, now we use the double hards, but I read that they use the silver tips for resaws.
Yes.
And if what I read was correct, it says the silver tips last longer in the resaws than the double hardwood. Does that make sense to you?
Well, in the resaw application, most people use the silver tip. It doesn't cost as much as the double hards, and usually they just run it to death and throw it away without resharpening it. But I mean, down here, a lot of people run the silver tips on their sawmills, and some people swear by the silver tips, some people swear by the double hards. I tell people they're both good blades.
Has a lot to do with what you're milling too, right?
Yeah.
Now, we use the 10 degree on our mills. We have good luck with the 10 degree. We have not tried using a 4 degree or the 737s. Can you tell us anything about the 4 degree or the 737s versus a 10 degree?
Well, not a lot of people use the 4 degree down here. I guess that's probably used more up north in the frozen wood. I know a few people use it down here cutting, big wide slabs, and some people use it in really knotty pine, but most people use either the 10 degree or the 739 turbo down here, and just whatever your preference is.
Now the 737s, from what I've read about those, they rid the sawdust better than the other blades.
Well, it's got a little deeper gullet, so yeah, it could pull a little more dust. Yep.
If there's anybody out there got questions on blades, go ahead and throw them out there. This is Joe Maine. He's from Georgia. He's the wood miser blade guy, and he's joined us tonight to try to answer some of your questions on blades.
For a certain size wheel.
Anybody else got questions for Joe?
One thing that always confuses me when I'm on the Wood Miser site shopping for blades is that some blades are listed for higher than 25 horsepower or higher mills, and some blades are listed for less. And as you're going through looking at blades, you tend to forget which one was which as you go through. Is that because of the thickness of the blade, or the gullet, or the tooth angle? What determines the horsepower rating on a blade?
Well, you do need a higher horsepower engine to pull the thicker blades, like the 55 thousandths. Mm-hmm. And like the turbo blades, the 747, 739, those are recommended to run on a higher horsepower engine. But I know people run them on the lower horsepower machines, and they're satisfied with them too.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I saw that. Yeah, there it is. So let's see. The question is, can you differentiate between the 3 7-degree blades Wood Miser has, and which one, if any, would be appropriate for a 19 horsepower Kohler?
Sure. The 3 blades are the standard 7 degree, which is just a 734. The 34 is the back angle of the tooth. There's a 739 turbo and a 747 turbo. The turbo blades are a higher tooth, deeper gullet. The 7 degrees, the 734 is just a standard blade. I would probably recommend that one for the lower horsepower machine.
Which one was that,
Mr.? They're all good blades, and
The one we had.
We're just about to try the 747 soon.
okay. The 747 is a more slender tooth. The 739 is, a little wider tooth. I think it'll hold it set a little better. The 747 is meant for cutting fast, and if you get into some rough, knotty wood, I feel like that blade could possibly lose its set a little quicker than the 39 or the 34. So just take that in consideration.
No dead spruce then.
I had a customer recently. He ran the 747 cutting hardwoods, but if he was getting into some big, knotty, nasty logs, he'd say, "Give me a box of the 739s for this." So they all have a good application.
Okay, the next question up there, Joe, is we run a Norwood LM30. We cut more pine than anything else. What's the best pine blade that will give me the most life just cutting pine?
Either the 10 degree or the 739 turbo. And in that situation, I would recommend trying both of them and see which one you like better, because what works best for you might not work best for the next guy, different machines, different horsepower, different feed speeds, Sometimes it comes down to just trial and error and see what you like the best. But I would start with the 739 turbo and a 10 degree.
Okay.
But I tell people also, you asked me that question is, man, I don't know how the pine in Georgia grow. You know what I mean? I don't know if you had a tight grained pine, you know what I mean, in Georgia, or if you had a really, fast growing pine in northern Alberta or, Oregon. It's
Ponderosa pine in Oregon.
Right. It's a different wood for a different, place in the United States, and a different blade would work on a different wood. So I don't know how your wood is. Even the wood is different. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. We've been talking about it all week, haven't we?
You're right. And the 739 is probably the best all around blade. A lot of people just use that blade and cut everything from softwood, hardwood. So, with the tighter grain wood versus the other, probably the 739 would be the best all around.
John brings up a good point. What would you suggest for someone who just bought a mill? They have whatever wood they have whatever mill they have. What would you suggest to them to figure out what blade they need for whatever their conditions are, which can vary?
Well, depending on the horsepower, first question would be, what's the horsepower of your machine? If it's 20, 25 or down or lower, a standard 7 will cut anything. If it's higher than that, the Turbo 7 is just a good all around blade for anybody. And depending on the size of the wheels, the thicker blade does not like those smaller wheels as well. People do it, but it'll lessen the life of your blade. So, if you got that like LT35, LT40 with the 19-inch wheels, you put a 55 thousandths thick blade on there, it's gonna, it's just gonna shorten its life. But people do it, and that's fine.
Okay, the next question we have is, I've heard the term silver tip in reference to some blades. Does it have any significance?
The silver tip is just the standard carbon blade. The tooth is hardened. But the word silver tip, no, not really. It's just their basic blade below the double hard.
Okay. How about refabricated blades repurposed? I think he's probably talking about resharp blades, right? Would be my guess.
That would be my guess.
Refabricated?
Most of us buy the blades new and then resharpen them as we need them.
Right. And the resharp blades, they work good. If you've got your own sharpener, or if you got somebody local that you can take them to, I don't really suggest shipping your blades somewhere, paying 2 ways freight and sharpening fee. Usually in that case, you're better off just buying new blades. But but resharps run real good if, as long as you got a guy that's really skilled at sharpening and setting them.
Now, I know that I don't set my blades. I do 2 sharpenings before I reset my blades, but I don't take a lot off when I'm resharpening them. So what's the standards you found on resetting the teeth on versus sharpening them?
I mean, I've heard a lot of people don't reset their teeth every time they sharpen, you know, just as needed. Check your blades if you think you need it. If you've been in some hard, knotty wood, I would definitely set them or see if they need it. But, you know, if you've just been cutting clean, clear pine or clean wood, you may not need to set them.
The guy on, not to put anybody else, but the guy on Cook, when he did his blade sharpening video, he was like, I purposely set my teeth to like 031, you know, and then I don't set it the next time. I sharpen it, and it will close in a little bit, but I know that I don't have to set my teeth the second time. And that's just what he does, you know what I mean, on a regular basis, and it works for him. So
hey, whatever works for him. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
Well, John, I noticed sharpening mine after you get a few sharpenings on them, the teeth aren't going to be as long as what they are from the factory, obviously. But I don't know with yours, but when I reset my teeth, I got to be careful because if I set them with them short like they are and I get too far in, they don't do right.
Oh yeah, you can definitely, you know, I'm not recommending anybody sit theirs at 31. You know,
No. I'm just saying you gotta. Well, as you know, like I'll get 5 or 6 sharpenings out of it, but when I reset my teeth, I've got to go minimal because the tooth is actually shorter. Am I correct, Joe?
Yeah. What kind of sharpener do you have?
I have a wood miser.
I mean, is it like the CBN?
I mean, not a
wheel,
wood. No, I'm sorry. Not a wood miser. What is
Woodland
it, John?
Mills.
Woodland Mills. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so is it the drag sharpener? So are you just hitting the face of the tooth, or are you dragging the gullet? And
No, just the face.
okay,
and the gullet.
Very little of the gullet, though.
Yeah, you can hit the gullet.
Yeah, but not too much of it.
okay. You know, if you can run through the gullet, that'll take any cracks out that could be starting. But in your case, the tooth could be getting a little shorter. You know,
Right.
with the BMS 250, like you got, Craig, the full profile wheel, you know, should grind the full profile at one time, and the tooth should stay the same length, same height.
Some guys like to run the band around twice. I haven't ever done that. I haven't needed to do that, but I just try to take a light grind off each time. I'm honestly, my first 80 bands I've only sharpened twice. So,
and if you'll pull your band off your sawmill when you need to pull it, you shouldn't
take
have
the set
to
out
run
of it
twice. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. There's a question up here. What is your opinion on the carbide tips? Mr. Whitney at Woodmiser, North Carolina, didn't have anything good to say about them. I am always hitting nails.
Well, I mean, it's just like we were talking a while ago. It's a good blade if you're not going to hit anything with it and tear it up. But I mean, if I was hitting nails, I definitely wouldn't run carbide. I mean, I'd want to.
I think I'd run the cheapest blade I could find if I was hitting nails.
Oh, exactly.
All right, let's see. We are in Georgia cutting yellow pine. I can't tell the difference cutting with a 10 or a 7.
I'm the same way cutting Douglas fir. I have 10s and 7s, and I can't tell the difference on my LT 15 14 horse.
Put on a big log. I'm not going to say the biggest log you can get, but put on a bigger, wider log of the Douglas fir, and then just take 2 passes with the 10 and take 2 passes with the 7. And
what should I notice?
On the big, wide logs, you'll notice the speed. The 7 will be faster than the 10. But you won't notice the fact that your 7 is going to get, dull quicker than your 10 either, until way down the road. But right off the bat, you should notice that the 7, you can pull the 7 faster and it'll be harder on your engine. But if your engine can take it, it'll go through the wood faster.
Now, I just saw one comment that says the 10s leave too much sawdust. I think I was reading recently where we cut a lot of green logs. Everything we cut is green, and we get a lot of sawdust left behind. But I understand that if the log is not green, the sawdust is not as bad. Is that correct?
I'm not certain about that one. I'd probably have to send that one to Craig. Can you help me on that one?
Yeah, that has a lot to do with your speed. The faster you go, the better the band will clean the sawdust out. So I have my issue here. When I talked to Robert Milton a few weeks ago, Joe, he was telling me that if I don't load my band, I'm going to leave marks on I'm going to leave that washboard effect on my cants. But I found that in these logs that I'm milling that are 20% and standing dead, that have no moisture in them, to keep stuff flat and straight and no waves at the knot clusters, I need to go a little bit slower. So I just have to go slower in the drier wood to keep my stuff flat. I'll live with my band leaving that not being loaded effect on the wood versus having a bump over a knot or something.
Right.
All right. So Chris says white pine versus red pine blade difference.
I don't know that we have red pine down here.
Yeah, red pine's more of a northern pine. I would say that they wouldn't be much of a difference. So white pine's going to be a little softer than the red pine, but we use 10 degree on everything. So I haven't had any issues at all.
Right. And that goes back to just, try the 739, try the 10 degree and see what works best for you, what your preference is.
Okay, let's see. Trying not to skip over any of the questions here. Other than the sawmill, what would you consider the third most important pieces of power equipment to log with, excluding chainsaws? I would say
I have an answer to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
You need to get a JD 450 dozer and a backhoe. I know that because Lindley bought a couple of those. Or he bought a dozer, I know.
Okay.
Definitely have to have something to move logs with. And if you
I think it depends on your terrain, what you're doing. I like a tractor. I think a tractor is a good all-around piece of equipment. You can have a loader on the front and a winch on the back.
Yes,
that would be number one.
I think the tractor is probably number one. We get away with, we built log arches that pick the log up off the ground. We log in mountainous terrain, and we find that we do a pretty good job with four-wheelers. So that's pretty simple. We do have tractors, but the four-wheelers are easier to maneuver through the woods in our situation.
Yeah, you guys have a pretty effective setup, especially in the snow in that video I watched this morning.
I am so impressed with what they can do with a quad and an arch. It's really impressive.
If you actually could come here and see the terrain, I mean, I know you're familiar with steep terrain, Michael, but if you could see the terrain we maneuver in, sometimes it just astounds me too. I don't know why these things aren't pushed down the hill by some of these logs.
I was going to say, I don't know how we're not going sideways downhill.
I never considered it because on your videos it looks like you're working on flat land. But if I knew, maybe I could get away with that too.
Yeah, I mean, everything from once we cross the creek behind the house, everything is uphill. We do have flat plateaus in between the hills, but we're working on a lot of hills. It's downhill all the way.
low impact on the land, and then you wouldn't even need a dozer.
No, absolutely low impact.
So-
Okay, I just
that'd be
ordered. Go ahead.
That'd be your second, you know, or your first most important piece of equipment is something to move the logs, whether it's a tractor or 4-wheeler or whatever you want, bulldozer, whatever
Correct.
you want to get to move the logs to your mill. But the
Correct.
next most important piece of equipment is probably your blade sharpener. You know, to me, unless you have somebody local who can sharpen your blade, you know, or a program you can send them to, like the Woodmiser program had, or, you know, some other program you can send them to. Blade sharpener is probably the next most important, I think.
Definitely a money saver. That's for sure.
Well, we depend on our Kent hooks quite a bit too, though. So,
Yeah, but he said motorized, so that'd be like.
Is that
blade-
equipment or
okay.
is that a tool?
Yeah.
I'd call that a tool.
put it in my hands. It's a piece of equipment. Rick's hands.
In my
it's a
case,
bit of
I
a tool.
say a tractor and a pickup with a trailer.
There you go.
Okay, so I got another question up here. I just ordered a HM 126 14 horsepower. We'll be cutting cedar, pine, and oak. What blades would you suggest, Joe?
Probably there's just a standard 7 degree, you know, especially for a lower horsepower like the 14. Just a standard 734, and that'll cut anything you want to cut.
Okay, I'd like to take a moment to wish Tim a happy birthday. Today is his birthday.
Thanks a lot.
Happy birthday, Tim.
Happy birthday, Tim.
Does anybody have any fireworks? Any
Yeah,
horns?
thanks,
any
everybody.
firecrackers?
I appreciate it.
Your face
Thanks,
is
Alan.
almost as red as your hat.
Sure thing now. Oh Lord. All right.
I
Carrying
thought we
on.
had a fireworks loaded here, didn't we? No.
What's
No.
that?
As long as we don't sing happy birthday.
Yeah,
Thank
that's-
you. Thank you, Michael. I'll have to mute all of you at the same time. All right,
Okay,
let's go
so-
ahead.
Let's move on here. Jeff Teague asks, it's the opposite. I don't understand what you're talking about, Jeff. Love your content. Let's see.
Standard
One,
Lizzie says, I set mine every 4 to 6 sharpenings, his teeth.
If you're getting 4 to 6 sharpenings, you're doing good.
Yeah.
I'm getting way more than that.
yeah, I am too. I sharpen until the blade breaks.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Chris says, the deeper
Well-
the gullet, the harder it drags the motor.
Yeah, I can see that.
Better it'll carry your sawdust though.
Is that because more sawdust accumulates in it?
Would make sense.
Probably.
We don't saw dry stuff. I think everything Craig saws is dry.
Yep.
Pretty dusty.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a finer dust for sure. And it depends on how much lube you run.
A lot of what I cut is dead Douglas fir, bug killed. It's dusty. I don't like the dry stuff as much as the green. It cuts slower and it's dusty
And the wind's always blowing it right in your face.
most
Yeah.
of the time.
Yeah.
Maybe I need a sawmill shed to block the wind.
It may just get worse. Okay, I've noticed the 1.5 blades cut a lot flatter on my mill. Now, our mills, Joe, we got the Hud-son 19-inch wheels. They're recommended 1.25 wide blade. Is there a big difference between 1.5 and 1.25?
Well, a lot of people, they'll have, go into cutting wavy lumber and they'll go to a wider blade, and they'll also go to a thicker blade, and it'll flatten out. And it didn't really solve a problem. It just masked a problem. People, their roller guides could be getting a little wear, or, drive belt a little loose, or something
Right.
that needs maintaining. So you should be able to cut flat with a 1 1/4 inch blade. You go to wider and thicker, it's just masking a problem, not solving a problem.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Good evening, Jack. Appreciate
Jack,
you stopping in.
Jack Beckwith is with us. How you doing, Jack?
Hey, Jack.
How are you, buddy?
Merry Christmas right back to you.
So, Joe, do you ever get anybody calling with problems like my mill or my blade is cutting waves? What suggestions do you give to them?
First thing I tell them to check the drive belt. A lot of people, I ain't never done that. You know, that's the first thing. Check your roller guides, your alignment, you know.
Now, why would a drive belt cause waves?
Well,
Being too loose.
You lose blade. If you got a loose belt and it tends to slip in, you're going to lose blade speed. And, you know, especially if you're in some hard or knotty wood, you know, your blade wants to try to find the path of least resistance, you know, like around a knot or whatever. And it's just harder to stay flat with a loose drive belt.
Well, Joe, I noticed when I had my smaller mill, the blade ran over the belt on the wheel. And we had so many problems with that, cut and wavy. I mean, we pulled our hair out trying to get that thing straight. I think, to me, myself, I think that's a poor design, run the blade over the belt like that. But
Running the blade over the drive belt.
Yeah. I think a lot of the entry-level mills do that.
I'm not certain. I've seen some that do that, but
that solved a lot of my wavy cut problems I had in the beginning running an LT15. Keeping the belt tightened, that solved a lot of it.
Yeah, that's usually where people need to start anyway.
And poking the finger or the belt with a finger, not a good measurement. You need one of those little gauges.
Wood Miser forgot to send me one of those gauges in the beginning. I did the finger poke method, and that was my problem. Later on, they finally sent me one of those gauges, and all my problems went away. Who knew? Setting the tension to the right tension actually works.
Yes. I found that out too.
I actually think the rule of thumb is the belt is supposed to move up and down no more than the width of the belt.
So what you're saying is you use your thumb instead of your finger.
Well, if you can't afford the gauge, you use your thumb. But the
I
belt's
hadn't even thought of using my thumb.
The belt's not supposed to move up and down any more than the width of the belt. That's just a rule of thumb that's been in the truck industry forever.
Huh.
Mississippi.
Got a lot of people out there from a lot of different places today.
Nova
Was
Scotia,
that Mr.
Canada.
I think that was Mr. Robert.
Hello, Mr. Robert and Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was out there a couple weeks ago.
And you just sold him a setter, didn't you?
Yeah, I took him a BMT 250 setter week before last.
Thank you, Swamp Sawyer. Appreciate it. How old?
29.
Wait, Paul said 51 earlier. We can go with that. That'd be great. I just turned 63. I'm old.
Joe, does Wood Miser ever have sales on their LT15 Go packages?
Well, I've mainly been selling blades. I'm learning more and more about the equipment side of it. I could check into that for you.
I've been wanting to get one, but now they went up to $2,700. I think with shipping, it would be close to $3,000. Not long ago, it was $1,600.
I've noticed all the prices have gone up a little bit.
Why
I
don't
think
they
the
just
package-
got done having to sell on a bunch of on mills and such?
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm fixing to have to get off, my friends.
isn't the gullet purpose to drag out the sawdust? Is that the only purpose of the gullet? Is to drag out the sawdust, Joe?
That would be the main purpose, yes.
Okay.
Right to the nails.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh jeez.
Now we've
Ah.
opened a can of worms. Joe, take it.
Oh, look at John.
John, take it
John
away.
perked up on that one. Hey, John, you perked up on that one. He's
The rest of us
percolating
aren't
now.
going to get a word in edgewise after that subject came up.
All right. Well, ask Joe. What's your opinion of running diesel drip on the mill? What's it do to the belts?
I think it will deteriorate your belt quicker, but down here in this sticky pine down here, I mean, you know, most wheel belts are $15. Some of them are 30-ish. You know, it's just a trade-off, and I think it's worth it if you need it.
Where did John go when we needed him?
Did he blow a fuse when somebody asked that question?
There he is. He's back.
Did you miss Joe's answer, John?
Nope.
I can barely hear him. What's going on?
That's a good thing.
John, what's wrong with your mic? We can barely hear you.
Is better now?
No. Maybe it died on you.
How about now?
That's good.
That's better.
Fell off.
A lot better. Yeah,
Okay.
fell off.
Uh-oh.
All right, John. So just give us a quick opinion of the diesel drip.
Quick.
Quick? I can't. Man, you know I can't do quick. You guys
Turn
are
on,
crazy.
drip,
Think I
drip,
can
and
do
it's
quick?
good.
Yeah, so I think it is harder on your belt. I'm going to agree with everybody. It's harder on your belt. But your belt's $14. You know, they're $14 a piece. And if you can't save $14 in the life of your blade, you know, then you're not running your diesel drip right. That's what I think. So I think the diesel drip's going to save you a lot of money on the life of your blade. And it's going to save you a lot of money filling up water. It's cheaper than water. Diesel drip's cheaper than water. Every time you run to and fill up your 5-gallon jug of water, you do that twice a day. What do you got? 2 minutes? 2 minutes of time twice a day. Add that up, give you an hourly rate of $40 an hour. And I fill mine jug up once every 8 months, 6 months of diesel drip. Just filling it up and paying yourself $35 an hour, you're going to save a ton of money with diesel. Way more than that $14 belt you're going to eat through with diesel. That's my opinion.
Okay.
A lot
I
of
just-
people react to the idea of using diesel, but look at what we do with our chainsaws. We drip oil through them all the time we're running our chainsaws. Is diesel really worse than that? Every time we're running our chainsaw, we're throwing oil out into the woods. A whole tank full every hour or so. John's talking about a little drip of diesel every once in a while. Is that right?
Yep, one drip of diesel every 2 seconds. One little bitty drip. And so people who say, oh, your diesel's bad for the environment. I run windshield wiper fluid. I said, you know what's in windshield wiper fluid? And you're running it at a stream. You know what I mean? That's way worse on the environment than my one drip of diesel every 2 seconds. I don't know. I just can't find any bad argument for it.
I don't think the environmental issue is a problem with the diesel. My problem with the diesel is just a deterioration on the belts. But I'm cheap. I don't like to buy new belts if I don't have to.
Right. But you're
All right,
going to
Do you
save
put your diesel in the in the water tank or something like that, or do you use another way to distribute it?
I put it right in the water tank. I run it right through the same line that Wood-Mizer. Well, I bought a thinner line now than Wood-Mizer. I used to
But
run
all
it
the
through
stock
same line.
equipment that Wood-Mizer provides can handle diesel, is that right?
Right. And then you just buy a little sight window that you can see through, and it has a little dial on it, and it'll just go to one drip. Or you can go to a steady stream, and just run it. If you want to go back to water, you can just run a steady stream through there. But with the diesel, you can turn it down to one drip every 2 seconds. You can turn it down to 2 drips, one drip every second, whatever. 2 drips every 2 seconds, whatever you want.
Some guys just keep a spray bottle close.
Yep.
Yep. Some people do that too.
All right. I want to back up, Tim. We had Jeff Teague here. I'm going to put his question back up real quick.
That one?
That one, yeah. I just recently watched your video on dollars per hour on operating your own sawmill. I found it very interesting or entertaining. Love the information and quick breakdown to empower your viewers to make their own decision on the subject is the next.
Correct.
I'm not familiar with what video he watched. Anybody else?
Well,
Which one of us did that video? I know I did one.
I think we've done several. Who you referring to,
John.
Jeff? Whose subscriber is he? Is that yours, Michael?
I'm not sure how to tell.
He's not on my channel.
But either way, we appreciate the feedback.
Thank you
It's
very
always
much,
good to
Jeff.
know when videos help people out.
Craig, what about that one? You know anything about the LT20?
No, I'm not sure if that's a typo or not. The LT20 is an older style.
Is it in Europe as well?
The LT20, I believe, is the LT35, the European
Version?
Yeah, maybe even the 40, because I know the LT20 has the same options as my 40 does.
Let's see.
Joe, is there any special way you guys get around the cost of shipping when you're shipping out blades, or?
Well, right now we've got free shipping on double hard blades, so 10% off and free shipping. Got a good deal going on.
Boy, that is a good deal because shipping is expensive.
Yep.
Yeah, we usually get all ours from the Woodsman Stays up here in New York when we go there. They do like 15% off and free shipping.
So you guys get a pallet at a time?
Oh yeah, you betcha. I do. Rick will borrow mine now because we got the same blade,
Oh, that was a mistake.
same band. Yeah, right.
Now you keep them under lock and key?
Oh, absolutely, Craig.
Attaboy. No.
Well, gentlemen, I'm going to have to get off for the evening. I've enjoyed being on the show, and I appreciate you inviting me.
Well, Joe, we appreciate you coming by, and thank you for joining us. And anything new or exciting comes along you want to announce, feel free to come on here and let us know.
Sure. Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah,
All right,
thanks.
Dave.
Thanks,
Very
Fred.
well.
Guys, thanks, Joe.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to
Yeah,
you.
Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Merry Christmas, Joe. Okie dokie.
Robbie Taylor.
All right, guys. We're open the floor to any other questions you want to ask.
Yeah, now he's gone. I remembered what I wanted to ask him.
I'm sure you have his number, Craig.
Yeah, I can find it. Hey, how many of you guys check your set straight from the factory? Do you guys do that to your bands at all
No.
before you run
No,
them?
I don't.
I would if
First
I
cut
knew
checks
how.
So
Steve
when you buy a setter from Wood-Mizer, they give you a handheld gauge that you can use to adjust and calibrate your stuff. so you can check what your bands are reading versus what you want them to read. That's how I do it.
Well, I pretty much go, if my bands aren't scoring the wood, then I'm not worried about them.
Yeah. What you?
Craig, do you ever deset them? Take the set out before resetting them?
No, but I do have. I haven't personally, but I have a buddy, the Robert Westfall out in South Mississippi. Him and Never Dull Moment. He's working on a couple deals, inventions. Let's call them that take that set to say 5,000 or 6,000. Not completely flat, but take them out to where they can be reset properly. Instead of being too much or too less.
I always thought that'd be a good idea to take the set out before putting it back in.
Yeah, my only question with doing that is how many times can that tooth be bent back and forth?
Flexed, yeah.
Yeah,
before
it fatigues too much. My big question I've been pondering with my milling and buying bands period is just how maybe when to just throw a band out, running it once and discarding it. But there's too much life in a band for me to do that. So I'm forced to do some sharpening. I can't afford just to huck the band away after one time. At least the Wood-Mizer ones.
So I think it was last month or month before, Steve from MSD, he was saying that he gets a lot of his bands to have the teeth out when they're shipped to him. So he sets all of his.
I've noticed that just from the way they cut wood. You get that little line every few inches or every inch or so. Sometimes brand new blades.
Well, a lot of that is from going too slow, and that's the band residence by not having that band loaded enough. Once you load, there's a fine line between going too fast or too slow. But once you find that just right speed, that vibration, that chatter is caused by that band vibrating. So
the chatter is the one thing, but sometimes there's a line every inch or so. But if I switch blades and do it the same way, that goes away.
Yeah, that could be a tooth out of set.
It's just one tooth out of set. Yep.
Yeah, it just takes one.
Yep.
Hey, Craig.
I find that common with both resharp, when they used to have resharp, and factory blades.
Yeah.
Craig.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy. Okay, guys. He's trying to change me, guys. You see this? He sent me Wood-Mizer suspenders.
Well, I've been talking about it for 4 months, and I figured, hey, it's almost Christmas.
Yeah, he says, he goes, I got something for you, Tim. I got something for you. Now, this has been going on since my surgery. So,
yeah.
But thank you, Craig. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, buddy. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so that video that they were talking about earlier, Mike, it was your video.
Yeah. What was the comment?
I don't remember now.
That's what I was going to say.
I think it was thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, they were saying thanks.
There you go. All right.
You guys got any questions? Just stick them right out there.
Anybody got anything new and exciting going on their channels? Anybody?
Exciting and new.
Yeah. Anybody? Greg?
I'm working on getting some better cameras so I can actually do some more content.
I've had an exciting last couple of days. It quit raining, so I can actually make a video. I've been doing 2 or 3 a week. Now I'm down to 1, and part of that is because of the rain.
Yeah. Same here with the snow. It sucked.
Yeah.
And
now the cold.
We've added snow to our videos.
Nice backdrop, isn't it?
It's pretty.
Yeah. It brings out that white really brings out your eyes.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
It starts.
You're going to make me cry. That's going to be my diesel trip. So how's the drones out our way? I don't know. We shoot them down.
We
No, we
do
don't.
not.
Yeah.
I would actually like to put out there right now that it is a federal offense to shoot a drone out of the sky, whether it's over your house or not. So anybody out there that's got the ideas of shooting down a drone, do not. There was
What
a
if
guy
you
in
throw a
Florida.
stick up and hit it?
There was a guy. I know. There was a guy in Florida that shot down. He didn't shoot it down, but he hit a drone flying over his house. It was hovering over his pool. I don't know what the story was, but he was arrested for it. I don't agree with it, but just putting it out there so nobody gets in trouble.
Thank you for that tidbit of information.
Well, it could be important if somebody gets the idea of shooting one down.
Yeah.
As
Did you ever figure out how to go live yet, Craig?
Did I?
Yeah.
No.
No.
When
Right.
my wife's here, I can figure it out.
All right.
You're still in black and white. You can't even get
I
any
don't
color
know
yet.
what happened. I'm not sure, dude. I'm sorry.
He's
My
barely
shirt's gray
here.
anyways.
He's barely
all
here,
in
John.
gray
You
anyway.
ask him if he can go live.
I know.
Uh,
Like
Utah,
right there.
Utah,
Somebody asked what his
Utah is
channel
still
was. Right
behind
there. is his
everybody else. They
channel.
haven't gone color yet.
Utah.
Utah.
Right there's his channel.
Chris got over 50,000 subs. Good for you, Chris. That's awesome.
Has anyone considered forming a co-op in order to help with distribution and sales? I don't understand the question.
That's something we've been talking to around here, me and a couple other guys. Getting sawmill owners together to try to get a co-op, to cooperate with each other, to figure out how to sell lumber. But it's still in the infancy of talking about that.
Is
I
that
don't
out
have
in your
any good
location,
information
Mike?
yet.
You want
What's
to
that?
catch it?
That's out in your location?
Yeah.
You want
I've
to
had a
catch
few
us?
local viewers contact me about that. After I made that video about how I just don't have time to sell lumber. The idea is we can all pool our resources together. Some of us will be milling, some of us will be selling, some of us will be doing this and that, and we can somehow cooperate with each other.
Nope.
Paul, tell
But-
Andy I'll send him some pictures.
We don't have any details on that yet that are solid.
Well, maybe you ought to make it nationwide and you get some more ideas on that.
Yeah.
I'm open.
It's not a bad idea.
I know there was a time in the past, 20 something years ago, we were sawing a lot of hard maple and cherry and shipping it down to another sawmill that had 3 kilns set up that could kiln dry 40,000 board feet at a time. He was buying the lumber from us raw and green, kiln drying it, and then shipping it overseas. He was making good money. We were making good money. And that was kind of a co-op in a sense.
If you could somehow bring millers together, dryers together, people who make things out of lumber, people who sell lumber, somehow we can all work together to get that happening. Because a lot of us are just sole proprietors out here. We can only do so much.
Correct.
Yeah.
There are only so many hats we can wear. And that's been part of my problem. It's one of the reasons I'm not milling now is I can't mill, run a YouTube channel, do the logging, and sell the lumber at the same time.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you
can
need a
see where that would be a problem, especially being way out away from everything.
I have Douglas fir lumber accumulated, but I know there's people somewhere who wish they could have some Douglas fir lumber. But if there was a co-op where you can tap into that,
Yeah.
we can all help each other with what we have and what we need.
Well, we've actually had farms that do that around here. They form a co-op and they opened up a store to sell farm products.
Yeah.
And several farms are in together doing it.
I could see it could be tough for lumber, 2-bys and whatnot. But like the Rick and Tim, the crafter stuff, the idea popped in my head like one of these little antique malls. They go and they have different vendors and booths in one building. They just go stock, each person just stocks their own booth, and there's usually one person cashing everybody out, and it might work. But,
Chris does that, don't he?
I'm sorry?
Chris does that, doesn't he?
He has a booth somewhere, yes.
Yeah.
So we kind of do it, you know what I mean, here locally, but we definitely need a few more people, you know, to do it out. But, you know, like if I don't have a kiln, which I don't have a kiln right now, I'll run it to town, and the guy who owns the kiln, he'll dry it for me.
Mhm.
And then he'll take a little bit off the top of my lumber. You know what I mean? A little bit of my lumber.
Yep.
And then he'll turn it into a woodworking project, and then he'll take his woodworking project, somebody will come and get them, and they'll take a little bit off the top of that and sell his projects for him. But that's what they do, is sell. You know what I mean? They'll come and get a little bit of my lumber and sell it, but they'll take a little bit of my profit. And then
That guy running the kiln knows people who's milling lumber. He also knows people who are using lumber.
Correct.
If we can somehow take everybody and combine everybody together so we can connect the people who are making lumber with those who are buying it.
Right. We do that on a very, very small scale, but the key to it is you need one independent person who's not doing any of that. They don't do the lumber, they don't do the kiln drying, they don't know how to run, they don't do the logging, they don't know how to run a sawmill. All they do is sell. And so they take my lumber and they say, okay, you owe the kiln guy 3 boards, and you owe the salesman 6 boards, and you owe the woodworker 3 board feet. You know what I mean? And they keep track of all that.
Right.
Sales and accounting type person, definitely.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
For us, that's the key, because that's where we break down. We still have
Could be
somebody
an
doing all the
opportunity for
bookwork.
someone.
Yep. We don't have the bookkeeping, end of it down at all.
Well, maybe, Michael, maybe that'd be a topic that we can come up with on here about a co-op. Maybe that's something that we might be able to put all our heads together and come up with something. Or, like Rick said, maybe, nationwide.
A lot of people are interested in doing projects like working in the woods, milling, building things out of lumber. They like doing the physical part of that, but they don't know how to sell it.
Correct.
Or if they know how, they just don't have the time and the resources to do that, or the interest. They get into milling because they want to make boards out of logs. They don't want to do all the business end of it.
Correct.
Right.
A co-op, there are people who are interested in doing that side of it. We can connect that with the people who make the stuff.
Yeah, we'd need like a broker type person.
Yeah, I mean,
And one suggestion was, I am in a good position to promote it
you are
through the channel.
Yes, absolutely. But if that was a topic on here, we could throw it out there. We might get ideas from the audience as well.
Not only ideas, but maybe someone who's interested in implementing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The accountant doesn't want to go to the woods. I can almost guarantee you the accountant doesn't want to go to the woods and cut down the tree. But the sawmill guy or the logger doesn't want to spend a week in the office either doing the bookkeeping. So
Correct.
it's a win-win for everybody if you can get them all together, the right people. It's just hard to get them together for us anyway.
See that comment down there? They passed a law in North Carolina a year ago or so. Small sawyers have to take a grading certification class and stamp anything structural. I think that's like that in Virginia too. Didn't Steve say that?
Well, you know how you get around that? You cut siding and you cut crafting wood. You don't cut structural.
Right. The small sawmill guy can't cut structural lumber because he can't get it stamped.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to cut structural lumber because I can't get a high enough price for it.
Correct.
John, there's a question for you.
Using a portable sawmill trailer, should the tires be off the ground or setting on the ground? Wood-Mizer LT35, 40, and 70 are all designed for the tires to set on the ground. They're part of the stability of the mill. You can get them off the ground with just the regular jacks that they provide, but they're meant to set on the ground. The tires are meant to touch the ground. Now, you know, you get on a hill out there in the Adirondack Mountains or something, and one of them has to come off the ground. It'll still function, but they are part of the stability of the mill, for sure.
Now, if I'm not wrong, isn't Swamp Sawyer in New York, Paul?
No, Georgia.
Georgia. I don't know why I thought he was in New York.
Too many swamps up here as it is.
Too many swamps up here. We're gonna
Makes
be the
sense you would
swamp.
think that way with all the swamps up here.
We're gonna change to Swamp Brothers Outdoors.
I'll deal with the mountains any day over the swamps.
Absolutely.
Andy started making a little corduroy road over our swamp to get to the trees that the beavers are killing.
Yeah,
So, swamps are always fun.
your fault. You guys love the beavers.
Well,
There you
Boy,
go,
if we
Chris.
If we got a beaver in our creek, we'd be screwed because we have to cross the creek to get to our property.
Chris says he helps a lot of his sawyers sell lumber, so that's good, Chris.
What do you, Robin? There, I like that question or that statement.
What's
Wait,
that?
because we don't give Wilson enough time to talk, huh? Don't give Michael enough time to talk. That's why he wants somebody else running the podcast. Is that what we're
We
saying?
don't really have a podcast.
Sure, we do. This is a podcast.
I guess
I
so.
list mine as a podcast. But yeah, I think Michael. I agree with you, Robin. I think Michael needs a lot more time to talk. He's not as aggressive as we are.
This is the time of the day when I'm all talked out.
I hear you on that too.
Well, they could explain them. They could explain themselves on here.
Lots of
Robin
questions
Taylor,
going unanswered.
you can explain your statement.
He did right there. He said lots of our questions are going unanswered.
We're busy.
I didn't see it either.
I thought
What
I've
do we
been
miss?
hitting all of them.
they go by pretty quick.
They do go by quick, and we miss a lot.
Well,
Right.
we have several guys on here that's viewing the questions and trying to get them all up. And I don't think one person doing this by themselves would even be able to do it anywhere near as well, in my opinion.
And I just add, Robin, I mean, you might not be able to go to Michael's channel and post your questions afterwards because you might not get to them, but because he's has way more subscribers than any of us do. You know what I mean? But if you post these in here afterwards, you know, somebody can help answer any of those questions that you think we missed or that we did miss. But
Do you know what part of
I'm a-
Georgia? Do you know what part of Georgia Joe Maine is in there?
Craig?
South. All I know is he's South Georgia. He's close to the Florida border, the southeast corner.
Okay.
Not quite the Gulf Coast.
where's the Wood-Mizer down there in Georgia, you know?
Noonan.
Newton?
Noonan.
No question about the breaker.
Steve, that question was answered by Chris actually on here, but you could put an outlet in, and if it's too much for the breaker will let you know, and you can go up to a 20 amp breaker.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes. Third Saturday night of every month at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, we saw that, Chris. Thank you.
Newman, there you go.
Newman, Georgia.
30 minutes from Noonan. Chris answered it.
Yes, I saw that Chris answered it.
I did too. Going out to
So much yellow pine going to biomass electrical generation. What do you think about that? Well, wood is a renewable. Trees are a renewable resource. They always have been. We steered away from trees and went to plastic, and now we're back to paper again.
And so I think that the lumber business is kind of along the same lines as the corn business, the agricultural business. A lot of corn's going to, fuel, gasoline. And I think that it's great. I think that if the biomass electrical generation, industry can buy the trees for more than the sawmill can buy the trees for, more power to them. If the sawmill buys them for more, then take them to the sawmill.
They planted a lot of pine in the South in the 80s. There's a huge glut of pine in the South. It's hardly worth anything as saw logs anymore. I think they're getting pulp prices for saw logs. A lot of that pine has taken over what used to be hardwood forest. I don't know that there's any problem with burning that up to make energy if they don't need it for lumber.
Well, I worked for a timber company in South Carolina that owned 90 million acres of land. They purposely took all the hardwood out of the forest, and they planted a very fast growing genetically altered pine called a loblolly pine for the purpose of paper only. And like Michael said, these pines are just all over down there. So I don't know if getting rid of them would be a bad thing or not.
Yeah, they planted too much of a crop of trees.
I know the timber company that did this went out of business. So got all this land with pines planted on them. They should have hardwoods growing in it too. So I'm thinking getting rid of some of these pines is probably a good thing.
That could be a way to restore the old hardwood forest that used to be there.
Correct.
A lot of people have the idea that cutting a tree down is a bad idea. They have the idea that clear cutting is a bad idea. But if the trees are trees that shouldn't be there to begin with, cutting them down is not always a bad idea. If you can't use them for lumber, I think there's a case in the South where there's just not enough mills there anymore to use the huge amount of pine forests that are there now. What else are they going to do with them? Maybe burning them or turning them into pellets is a good option.
Right. I think that they were specifically grown for paper, to make paper. And I don't think lumber-wise they have any value, to tell you the truth. I think they grow too fast. So biofuels is probably the next best thing to use them for.
We even had New York State do some clearing. There was a plantation, I think it was red pine up here. It wasn't huge, maybe 50 to 100 acres. And probably 20 years ago, the state came in and just clear cut everything because they realized that one species forest is not a forest make. So it's
Right.
looked like a mess for years, but now it's growing up better as more of a mixed woods forest.
A decade or a decade and a half ago, they built some cogeneration plants on the West Coast. They produce power and heat energy. The federal government was matching they were paying the timber companies to cut down the trees to burn to make electricity or to use their waste material. And I think the federal government was matching the dollar amount for the chip logs. A lot of that was subsidized. I don't know if it's the same in the South or not.
Yeah, I don't
For
know.
example, if the power companies were paying $20 a ton for wood, the federal government was matching that. I think that's how it worked. So the logger would be getting $40 a ton instead of $20 a ton. But all those plants, I don't think they're operating now. I don't know what happened there. Maybe
No.
the federal funding dried up and it just wasn't profitable to do it anymore.
Well, I know even here in New York, you'll see hundreds of acres of planted pines. They were planted with a specific use as power poles. They grow straight, they grow fast, and now they've overgrown. They're too big to use for power poles, and they're not very good for lumber. So they just kind of like sit there, and nothing's really happening with it.
We had a bunch of Scotch pine on our property that before we got the sawmill, probably 4 or 5 years before we had the sawmill, had all the Scotch pine logged off because they're, like you say, they got oversized, couldn't be used for anything. I think they went for pulpwood, what they're only used for.
Rick, there's a question down on here somebody needs to have answered.
I have a manual mill with a 15 horsepower, 26 diameter max. Have a 12-foot blade, 1.25 inch, been running 10 degree. What other option in degree blade do I have with a low horsepower? I saw a good bit, I think he means bit of hardwood. Joe Maine was saying the 734 or the 10 degree blades. So you can try a 734 wood miser blade and see how that works versus the 10 degree.
My LT15 has a 14 horse, so maybe that's equivalent. I run 7s and 10s. I've cut a little bit of black oak and madrone, which are hardwoods. They cut like butter with 7s and 10s. I don't know how that compares to your hardwoods, but these green hardwoods cut great, 7 and 10.
Yeah, I think as long as they're green, you shouldn't have any problem.
I would hate to try to cut dry hardwood with them, though.
Yeah.
I think I'd hate to cut that with anything on my mill.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Robin Taylor says, no disrespect. It's a compliment to how great a bunch of viewers you have. Everyone enjoy your holidays. Have a good Christmas, Robin. We appreciate you joining us. We really appreciate you joining us.
I do sometimes think I need to have a live stream or a podcast. I'm just too busy making videos, and she's probably right. I need someone else to do that for me, but then it wouldn't be me. Then what do I do? I need another me. That's what I need.
It's
if you
a
can find me another
dog.
me, then I can do it.
It's
You
a
need a
dog eat
mini-me.
dog world out there.
Yeah.
Mini me.
I don't even have time to get back to comments.
Yeah, I've noticed. We're getting quite a few comments. It's hard to keep up with them, and there's 2 of us.
Which sometimes I miss that. I used to have a lot of interaction with the viewers. I used to be able to comment to everybody, reply to them, but I can't do that with 500 comments a day.
Michael, your enjoyment's turned into a job.
Yeah, but it's still fun making videos.
Yeah, it is. You know, we were talking about clear cutting a forest not too long ago. We've had several clear cuts up here where we live, and within 30 years, without replanting, within 30 years, they're ready to be logged again. Forests grow quicker than people think.
Well, now, when I was up there at the Adirondacks, our in-laws, you know, they're still select cutting, you know, getting the bigger trees out of there. but they'll take a random area that's, whatever, 2 acres, 3 acres big, and they'll just clear cut the whole thing. You know what I mean? And put it all to pulp. And you ask the forestry management guy, I'm like, why are you guys doing that? And they said, well, because he's not only managing it for logs, but he's also managing it for wildlife.
Correct.
And some of those trees, shade out all the growth of all those small, whatever, berry bushes, small poison ivy, or whatever the heck, you know what I mean, your bird or your squirrel or your rabbit eats. And that cover is really good for them. So clear cutting is not a bad thing. It's done right, I don't think.
Yeah, old growth forest does not offer much in the way of food for grazers and for animals that depend on the smaller brush and the trees and stuff like that. Plus, there's no cover whatsoever for them to hide in or to have their young in. I know coyotes will just eat deer alive if they can't hide their young. So,
Nope.
Yeah, clear cuts as they grow back are actually good for the wildlife.
On the West Coast, where fire is a huge thing, the narrative was always that old growth, we need to save the old growth because those are the fire-resistant forests. Some of the most hot, high-intensity fires I've seen are in old growth forests. Sometimes old clear cuts do okay in fire. It's more complex than just save the old growth, don't cut the old growth, clear cut bad. They all have their place.
Yeah, I know I've told the story before, but the Nature Conservancy came to me and asked me if I could cut down some young white oaks around their beautiful, old growth white oak trees that were just, they were beautiful trees. And I said, no, you're going to have to find somebody else to do that. I said, I'll take down those old white oaks for you. And they're like, well, no, they're beautiful. We want to keep them. I said, yeah, but those young ones that you want me to cut down, my great-grandkids are going to think they're beautiful. You know what I mean? And if I cut them down, my great-grandkids will never see them. I said, so I'll take out the ones that are dying, but I'm not going to take out the young ones just because you want, to save this one for right now. So I think they found somebody else.
Right. All right, let's see. We have a question for the Northerners, Tim. You see that one?
Hang on, I'm scrolling through them. Hello from Connecticut. And
25 years.
I've lost it now.
It's all right, I'm going down to it.
Is it up?
I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
Oh, there it is.
I'm getting everybody's comments on here, so everybody can read them.
People got mad at me and want hardwoods, not junkwood trees. I agree with that right there.
There you go.
All right. For your Northerners, what type of wood are houses framed up there? Okay, we use pine for framing here. I've heard they use poplar for framing here. And a lot of times they use Douglas fir for framing houses, which does not grow here. They get it from Michael Wilson out in the West Coast.
And out here, that's not all they frame houses with because we have more Douglas fir than we would know what to do with.
You can get that from the co-op.
People don't even want pine here because we have so much fir. Douglas fir.
SPF, spruce pine fir. That's what everything's stamped with up here. We used to actually get Douglas fir framing stuff here. Anything 2x8 or bigger was Doug fir. And some nice tight grain stuff, but can't get it anymore. I switched to some white spruce, which is horrible.
Hey,
Yeah,
Paul, tell Andy to read that comment there.
Andy, read that comment there. He's reading it.
Okay.
He's on a little bit of a delay from us.
second best looking Sawyer, John. Oh, it's
Not
awesome.
everybody can be as good looking as Tim.
No, not me, John. John.
Yeah, he's second to Tim, I mean.
Oh, Lord. Ferndale, Washington. Hello.
Oop, I didn't do that.
Well, what do they frame the houses with out there in the West Coast, Michael, if they don't use Douglas fir?
Douglas fir is what I was saying they use.
Oh, okay.
We have more Douglas fir than we know what to do with. That's about all we use out here.
Gotcha.
So
Northwest, Southwest, the whole West.
a lot of that probably goes overseas, doesn't it, Michael?
Some of it does. I don't know how much. I'm out of touch with that.
They used
to ship raw logs overseas, and there was a lot of controversy over that. They would have environmentalist pirates that would go out and attack the ships that were hauling raw logs overseas.
Really?
Yeah. They used to get upset with it because they thought we needed the jobs here. We need to mill our own lumber here, keep the jobs in America.
Gotcha. Kind of makes sense.
But we don't hear about that anymore.
Well,
I don't know what the situation is there. I know they export a little bit at least.
I guess their train of thought makes sense in a way, but you're still creating jobs, taking the logs down to ship them overseas. Correct?
You were breaking up. I missed that.
I said I can see their point where we're sending our logs overseas and not cutting them here, but even cutting the logs to send them overseas, you're still creating jobs to cut the logs down, transport them, and load them on the ships. That's still creating jobs here.
You're creating jobs, but their idea was you're losing the mill worker jobs. Although now I think we have a different situation where the mills are having a hard time finding workers instead of the old situation where people were having a hard time finding jobs.
I think that's pretty much above board on everything. Any kind of skilled labor, they're having troubles finding people now.
Rick, there's a comment right there. You want to read that?
I milled up an old growth pecan that went down in a guy's field, and that was mega heavy and hard as a rock. I went through 2 blades, but the result was some gorgeous wood, such tight grain. I've seen pecan lumber, and that is very beautiful wood. I don't know how it dries as far as staying straight or not, but it is very pretty wood. I assumed everybody framed with pine. Well, I think it's other than the poplar, pretty much everything they use is pine. And I don't know how much poplar that they use, but I've heard of it being used. I see there's some of these questions on sawdust on the logs when you get done milling them. We use a sheetrock knife to clean our sawdust off with. Works pretty well. Okay, I harvest trees from my property, and most logs I get for tree from Facebook Marketplace is growth cedar, old growth pecan, and white oak, red oak.
Depending where you are, I think it's easy to get free logs. When I used to place lumber ads, I'd have people contact me all the time saying they cut down this tree. Do I want the logs? Or they have this tree. I can take the logs if I want them, if I'll cut the tree down for them.
Yeah, we get a lot of that too. They want us to come cut the tree down and we can have it. We don't cut the trees down in people's yards. We're not insured. And we're not
arborists.
Some of them tell me they already got the tree down. They just want the wood to go away.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'll
that
do that.
includes the top.
That means
Yeah, and it
everything.
includes the nails that are in the butt
Yeah.
log too.
Yeah.
Includes the nails.
Free nails included.
Yeah. Well, we had one free oak log that I took a 5/8 bolt that went all the way through the tree out of the butt of it. There was a video on that. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe that big a bolt was all the way through the tree.
Swamp Sawyer says they're exporting logs out of Alaska, which probably makes just as much sense to export it out of Alaska to Asia than it does down to mainland America.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of interesting. Some of the log pirates just took them offshore, milled them, and returned them as finished lumber. These were the floating mills that created the job loss. I've never even heard of a floating mill.
Learn something new every day, huh?
I guess so. Coos Bay.
I know
Oregon.
they have a big pile of wood chips in Coos Bay. I don't even know what they're doing with those, where they're going, if they're for export, or if they're going to something local.
I think they're landing pads for those drones.
Could be.
Let's see. Popular is just a mid-grade trim.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I don't think
Eight-
Poplar's
Eighth
that
grade.
Standard Living says we never paid for a log.
Yeah, that's the problem with the yard logs too, right there. They're already cut in 6-foot lengths.
Well, our stumped up came to a halt thanks to the snow, but
Yeah.
man, I can't wait till next spring.
Then the black
How far
flies
away?
come out.
Yeah,
Yes.
thanks, Michael.
I just had to remind you of that.
Yeah,
Thank
we'll send
you.
Did
you a
I
box.
ever
Don't
mention
worry.
we don't have black flies here?
We'll send you a box.
Not to brag or anything, but I don't even know what a black fly is. I've heard of them.
We'll send you a box.
No,
you
thank
can
you.
open them and they'll just
Well,
all right.
the last box we sent you, you didn't open it. You just sent it back.
Did they bite you when you opened them when they came back? I told them to.
They were hungry.
Hey, Paul, how you guys doing on your scrap pile there? Did you sell a lot of that or no?
We did it initially, but now it's gone down to nothing. The pile was covered with snow at the moment.
Yeah, that's what ours did too.
Every now and then we get a question or a hit on Facebook Marketplace if people wants to come and buy some, but you know how that goes.
Great idea though, isn't it?
Yep.
I think if you can find somebody, Paul, that's interested in selling firewood for camping wood,
Mm-hmm.
you might find somebody that'll take all of it as you cut it.
By the truckload.
That's what we ended up doing. We have one guy that buys it from us. He buys it all. So we just call him when it's ready and he comes and gets it.
That's a good idea. We have campsites over, well, a couple miles that way.
Yeah.
And not even state campsites, so they can bring what they want.
So there's where your co-op comes in. Find somebody else to cut it
Yeah.
for you, and then somebody to sell it, and everybody gets profit.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Boom. Done.
There you go.
My neighbor likes it for firewood. He just comes, gets it, and takes it away. That's good enough for me.
Perfect.
I've had no problem finding people who would buy it if I deliver it. Just, it's not a high enough price to be worth it.
No.
I agree with that.
Gets to the point where I usually push it to the woods and let it add to the soil.
But I know if I put an ad out that said free slab wood or slab wood for a small price, people would come get it.
Well,
That's what we do. Truckload.
we actually throw ours into a rack though, and then when the rack gets full, we cut it into 18-inch lengths. Only takes about 10 minutes. And they come get it. Like I said, we got one guy now that comes and gets it. So that makes it pretty convenient.
Even if I put out lumber ads, sometimes I get people calling me asking me for slab wood. Some of them want it for log cabin siding or faux log cabin siding and all kinds of projects.
We get some schools that come by and we donate to the schools, for to do projects and stuff. Let them pick through it, but we sell most of ours.
We've been burning. Yeah, that you get behind on that. When I had the commercial mill, my kids had bonfires every Friday and Saturday night, and they couldn't keep up with the slab wood. And I mean, we had some ungodly bonfires.
Syrup maker, that's a good idea.
What is the syrup? Oh, they use it for heat, for boiling.
Cooking,
what do they do
cooking down the sap.
Maple syrup,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay.
There's your co-op. Give them the
We don't
wood.
do
they
that
give
in
you the syrup.
Oregon.
There's your co-op.
They give you the wood, you get a syrup. What?
And to start it, we do a diesel drip.
Yeah, the co-op could be
sorry,
just
John,
forest
I had to
products
pick
in
on you.
general, including syrup.
Yep, absolutely.
I had to pick on you, John. You'd think it was my birthday or something.
Oh no, I expect you to pick on me.
We use it to warm up the equipment. What do? Start fires under the equipment?
Hey, there was a time we did that up here.
Yeah, and there's times it didn't work out so well either.
Yeah, well.
It got too warm.
Are you talking about personal equipment?
Yeah, like under an oil pan.
No, I'm talking like. Never mind.
Yeah.
Tractor, truck, something like that.
No.
Close to it. Very
You
close.
get close enough to it, it'll warm up the equipment.
Oh,
Depending
yeah.
on how big your equipment is.
Depends on how big your fire is.
Yeah, that's true too.
Well, I could tell you sometimes we get so far below zero here in the old days. I used to take a pile of coals and put them in a pan and slide them under the oil pan on the truck just to warm the oil up.
Oh, dang it. He is talking about equipment.
All right,
Well,
so we're
thank you,
catching.
Alan.
We seem to be catching up with the comments now. Finally,
Thank goodness.
Rolled up the maple the other day.
Anything I missed, John?
Did you get that one? Milled up some red maple the other day. You guys get that?
No, I missed that
Look like
one.
a tattoo. Never seen any grain in red maple like that.
Nothing like what you had, though, John, right?
No, that mine was in the box elder. I've never
Well,
seen it in a.
No,
in a
I'm not
maple,
talking about that. I'm talking about this.
Oh, nope. I've seen Bigfoot in the maple.
Yeah.
Nope.
How about that? That's a Bigfoot in the maple.
But I've never seen. Was it red like flames, or did it just look like in the outline of flames?
Oh, in the box elder?
No, in Alan Vinson's red. maple.
in the red maple.
Oh,
Yeah, was it red flames? Or
Could be
just
ambrosia.
in the shape of a flame? Yeah, I don't know.
Said he wished he could post a pic.
Yeah, I want to see a pic.
Could be ambrosia maple.
yeah, we cut some beautiful maple up when Friday.
Yes,
Then
Friday.
ambrosia.
Oh my God, that was so
They can
pretty.
look like flames.
It was full
Oh,
of ambrosia.
tell Andy, wait till he sees that video. He'll go
He's
nuts.
already seen it.
He watched it already.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, someone sent it to him.
The only maple I've ever milled was very plain and boring. How's that for a story?
Well, actually, the one maple that was in high demand at one time was hard maple, but that is very white wood. The heart in a hard maple is about as big as a quarter, but it's very boring. But yet at one time it was in high demand, not so much anymore.
What about boring soft maple? That's what I had.
That usually here the soft maple has a big heart and usually has a lot of color in it.
Okay, how about boring soft maple that warped into really crooked boards? That's what I had. That's my experience milling maple. How's that for a story?
That's your story and you're sticking to it.
That's what I'm sticking to it.
Now you could have took one of those boards and strapped it onto your shoes and snowboarded down the sawdust pile.
Now you tell me that after I sold them.
Oh, see?
Yeah, we had a couple like that yesterday.
Except now I don't have a sawdust pile anymore, and I don't know what I'm going to do this winter. There's not going to be any snowboarding Sawdust Mountain unless I get back to milling again.
Now,
The things I have to deal with here.
You poor guy.
How far would you have to truck your wood, Michael, to get it to a population? So, a populated area.
About an hour.
Whew.
For the bigger population, there are people closer by, but not that many.
Yeah.
Didn't you have like a storage building somewhere you said that was close? Or
I
is it a
did,
town?
but I let that go. I wasn't using it enough. It was too hard for me to be in there and be out in the woods at the same time.
Gotcha.
And I had that for a business I had before I even started milling lumber. Then I used that while lumber shot up in price in 2021. I was
Right.
selling a lot of lumber then, but when lumber came back down, I let the warehouse go because I wasn't using it anymore.
Andy, get off the sitting bull thing, will you? Good Lord.
Why?
Why?
You can't convince your neighbors, Michael, they need to build barns and sheds and stuff.
I probably could, but I'm too busy making YouTube videos to go find them. That's why I need a co-op.
Gotcha.
Andy's laughing there, Tim.
I hear him. You can't.
Yeah.
You can do nothing but hear him.
Hey, Alan, right there, just go to my channel. I was going to say, just go to my channel, click on my email, send me that picture.
There you
We'll
go.
get it up. We'll get it up next month for sure, man. If we don't get it up this month. I know it's getting late, but we'll get it up next month for sure. See that picture of that. But if you email it to me, I'll try and check it and get it up right now.
Yeah, Chris
John,
says,
just put it in the overlay.
What,
Chris
Hazel?
said that silver maple is soft maple and boring.
Hmm.
I've never cut up any soft maple that was boring because they usually have a big dark heart in them, and you always find color.
Yeah, not here.
They're old, twisted, and knotty. They can be some interest to them, but otherwise, no. Grain-wise, at least.
I like to cut up some box elder. I've never cut that.
We did by mistake once. We thought it was ash, and the bark looks like ash.
Yeah.
And milled it up and said, "Wait a minute, what's going on here?" Had all the red flames through it. Nice looking stuff.
Is there a market for that other than crafting, though?
That I know of.
John? No?
No, anything you can do with maple, you can do with poplar. It's in the maple family.
Is it? Okay.
Yep.
We've cut up beech. That's some pretty wood, but boy, when it starts to dry, it looks like corn chips. I don't know how you'd ever be able to keep it straight.
Make a
Make a-
wooden ski jump.
You
That
already
could
did
solve
that,
a lot
didn't
of
ya?
my problems. It would help me with the Sawdust Mountain problem. It would be something to do with my lumber. It would be a way to test my medical plan. And it might give me some free time off while I'm recovering from my injuries in the hospital.
Make
I
some
see a
good
lot of
videos, though.
potential for that idea.
Yeah.
And,
Some great video
and
footage.
you forgot, you wouldn't need a selfie stick because the cast would hold it up where you need it.
Perfect.
Okay. Alan Vincent says, "Can someone please type his name?" I'll type it down in the comments here. It's
Whose name?
I just put my email in there.
Oh, John Davison?
Yeah, Davison's
Don't have to Jim.
Well,
If you go up to Nightbot, there's a link to my channel right there. My email is right on there. But I just posted my email too. If it'll let me.
Oh, did you type in Sawmill in there, John?
Yep, I typed in Sawmill. It's right
Okay.
there.
Oh, good. All right.
you made
Yeah,
me
just
do
click-
email.
Click
you
on
made me
his
do
link.
all that typing.
He don't even know what he has there, John.
Somewhere.
Hate is such a strong word.
I didn't say hate. I said you don't even know what you have.
I don't think it'll
No.
post my email. Won't
I
let
was
me post my
referring to
email.
my feelings towards John because I was typing and he popped it right up there.
Oh, well, you know.
All right,
Quick
somebody
drop
asked,
across.
Andy asked if we have any basswood.
Hey.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
we had one basswood tree and it's gone, and we don't have any more.
Yeah, that was the one and only.
It's the same on our property. One basswood. It's a multi-trunker, but it's the only one we got around.
Yeah, we had one, and somebody asked us about basswood, so we cut it down and milled it, and now it's gone, and we don't have any more. And yet, I'm told that basswood is like all over the place.
Steve, if you do type in Sawmill, your link should come up.
He was on my channel when he was typing it in.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
So it has to be on your channel.
That's correct.
There's my email. Oh, just clicked it.
I
There's
don't
my
think we
email.
have basswood here.
You don't have basswood there?
Not that I know of.
Sorry, go back to where you were at now.
I thought everybody had basswood.
We have bass in the lake, but that's it.
Is Craig frozen? He hasn't moved in an hour.
No,
Oh, okay. You're still breathing. Okay. You haven't
No,
moved in an hour. You're just like,
He's
All right,
still in
Craig.
black and white. He's trying to get out of black and white.
still?
when
That's
mother
just-
gets home.
That's because Utah is so far behind everybody else, they haven't gone color yet.
It's still the olden days there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Craig, you can't get out of the 50s? Come on.
I'm not very colorful.
Man.
Michael, did you see that comment?
Yeah, I saw that. I have heard of them, if that's who I'm thinking of. I think they deal with firewood. They deal with maybe essential oils from things like Douglas fir, if that's the
Oh.
one I'm thinking of. I called them one time to see if they would buy bundled wood for me. They said they didn't have any use for it in this area. So it's
Gotcha.
more in northern Oregon.
Gotcha.
But like you said, it could be a model.
Correct. Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
But it could be something to look up. Look up their website
Yep.
to get some ideas. I think they have a lot of outreach, a lot of training, if I remember right, for forestry subjects and products.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like training and stuff for the forestry. That is cool in itself right there.
That's something where we, the YouTubers, could come in.
Yeah.
All our channels are listed right there in the description of whoever's channels you're watching. Just go to the description. It should be listed right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's emails on all of them too, just about.
Ours is like really long. You'll get lost typing that in.
Yeah, but
Box elder
Standard
just
Living
fell
was just
apart.
asking for the channels again.
So I couldn't even make stickers. Oh no. That box elder fell apart.
We've had hemlock do that.
Yep.
Hemlock with the shakes, you start sawing and it just comes apart. That's very discouraging too.
Well, we cut out that one was a purple heart.
Yep.
Oh my God, was that hard?
Camel City Mill had a great Christmas sale. Gave you a shout out.
I must have missed the shout out. But I know I promoted some of their socks.
Oh, is that the camel socks?
Yeah, the camel socks.
You ought to put that link in here, Michael.
I don't know how to do that. Actually, I probably do. Actually,
Don't use maple for fence posts. You'll get 2 or 3 years and it'll snap at the ground. Actually, around here, everybody uses locust. But before they stick it in the ground, they char the wood in a fire because mushrooms and bugs don't bother charred wood, at least for a long time.
Michael, are those socks available on Amazon?
no, they're available right here. It's off their website. Actually, I don't know if they're available on Amazon or not, but they always have me send customers to the website. Best socks I've ever had.
Do you have more than one pair?
I have maybe 10 or so pairs. Because I change my socks every day. I don't wear them all over and over.
Oh, come on. That's so
Just because you're on
disappointing.
YouTube, you can tell us the truth.
That's what
Oh,
I
I
say
get
on YouTube anyway.
Right.
What I do in the privacy of my own wardrobe is my own business. I milled
no,
up some
sir.
myrtle wood about a year ago. That was beautiful. I have some on my coast property that I want to mill up. I have one log that I want to mill up that has a whole bunch of burl in it. I'm looking forward to doing that.
Some of
The
that
problem
really
is my mill's here and those are over on the coast. But one of these days I'm going to mill that log up.
you can't trailer it. You can't trailer it back.
That's what I did with the one a year ago. This one's kind of big. I need a tractor or something to load it up.
I got
One of
you.
these days I'll get set up.
All right, so we got a statement on here. If you could be any tree, what tree would you be?
Well, that's easy.
Something is
Wide open.
protected. Something is protected because I don't want to get cut down.
There we go. Oh, yeah,
I
I've
would
seen
say
these.
Douglas fir, but those are valuable. They get cut down. Maybe a bristlecone pine.
There you go.
Oh, wait. Is that the one I'm thinking? White bark pine. The long-lived one that isn't worth anything because they never get cut down.
A legacy tree.
All right, so right there, that's your socks right there, Michael?
That's it. All American made from American grown sheep, merino wool. Keeps your feet cool in the in the cold weather. No, keeps your feet cool in the warm weather. But if you get the thick ones, it keeps your feet warm in the cold weather.
Yeah, don't blow it now, Michael.
It's getting too late in the evening for me to do a commercial. Don't ask me to. I'll get it all wrong.
Does it keep your feet dry as well?
Keep your feet dry as well.
Good.
It wicks moisture away. And they have a 10-year guarantee.
Really?
Yep. If
That
anything
would-
goes wrong with them, they will replace them.
For 10 years.
Well, I might
10
click on
years.
that link myself.
I'm gonna.
Oh,
I have a tendency to walk right out of socks for some reason.
They're comfortable. They don't slide down. That's one of my pet peeves is socks that slide down. I put them on and they just stay there.
Yeah, the socks that slide down, those are Indian socks. They sneak down on you.
Yeah. I have people trying to send me free products all the time. I have sometimes taken the free products. The socks are one of the things that I keep promoting because I use them every day and I like them so much.
That's a good answer. A family tree. I like that.
Yeah, we keep promoting those wuben lights because we like those so much, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with those. We don't get many clicks on those.
I sold a few when I advertised them. I owe them another video because they sent me an ad, or I mean a light a while back. I use those every day too. Really like the wubens.
They're really nice lights, but I think the problem is when you go on their link, they offer like a 12% discount if you give them your email, and then that throws our 10% discount out the window and our sale.
There's a question for you, Michael, or a statement, I guess. Waiting on results from the wood straightening.
Well, we got to wait for the rain. We got to wait for the rain and wait for this will take a while. I just did that video. Unless you're looking at one of my old ones. A year or more ago, I did a series. I did the follow-up ones, and a lot of people haven't found the follow-up ones, but they're there. But if you're talking about the one I just did a few days ago, we're going to have to wait until probably spring or even into the summer for them to be soaked and then dry out again.
Do you like sorrels? I don't think I've ever had sorrels.
Rails, I think, yeah.
Are those socks? Those are socks, Paul?
Boots.
Sorrels.
I think I had a pair once.
I'm still waiting on a pair for my birthday.
They're in the mail.
Andy started it. Stetton Bull is waiting on a pair for his birthday.
Okay. Tell them they wear them in every video.
Andy says you wear them in every video.
Oh, okay.
We'll put our logo on the side of them.
Oh, I tear those off. I don't advertise that stuff.
Yeah, Cypress.
What I've learned about boots over the last few decades is no matter what the brand is, I'm going to wear them out fairly quickly.
Yeah, I agree.
I am just horrible with boots. I wear them out.
There's actually one boot that I found that's pretty comfortable, and they seem to last quite a long time, and those are the Grizzly Survivors at Walmart.
Walmart.
Yep, Walmart.
Holy cow.
I'll get 7 or 8 months out of a set of boots. They seem to hold up pretty good. Don't know why, and they're comfortable.
7 or 8 months, that would make me very happy.
Well, if I bought a pair of boots for $200 and they lasted 7 or 8 months, I wouldn't be very happy at all.
No. Buy a pair of Red Wing. They'll last you for a few years. All right. Let me get this image converted real
I
quick.
saw a comment about a fence made out of cypress. Cypress is rot and bug resistant. That's a good wood. But you can't cut cypress trees down anymore that I know of.
I think they're still hauling out sinker cypress out of the rivers down south.
Correct. You have to pull them out.
Yeah, but I don't think they're using sinker cypress for fence posts.
Probably not.
There are a lot of different types of cypress. What we call red cedar, western red cedar on the west coast, Port Orford cedar, those are all cypress.
Okay.
Not actually cedar. And those are rot resistant.
There you go, Michael.
It's good to know it's not just me who likes them. I've had a lot of comments from people saying they like them too.
Well, I may just have to try a pair because I can't keep socks. I wear holes through the heels for some reason.
I've always done that too. They might wish they didn't send me socks because I might be able to wear holes through any heels.
Test the warranty then.
That's the warranty. If those socks can survive me, those are good socks.
Yeah, Chris says he
Teflon,
thinks,
Teflon heel socks.
It's always the heel on mine.
yeah, he did say cutoffs, Chris, but I don't think you can legally cut cypress in the southeast anymore if they're alive. And I don't know about the sinker logs, but I don't think you're going to find too much in the way of cutoffs out of the sinker logs either. I may be wrong
10-year
about this.
guarantee.
10-year.
That's a long time for a pair of socks.
I don't know if I want to wear a pair of socks for 10 years.
I'd be tempted to
Greg's-
wear them without boots.
Craig's thinking about it. Look at him. He's thinking.
I've been contemplating. My wife says $20 a pair. They better last.
I don't know if they have black and white socks to send to Utah, though.
Hey, I'm offended.
Offended.
Geez. I don't know, Craig. You're kind of quiet there. Throw something out there.
I wear those hikes boots. I spent some money and I was having back issues, and my doctor's like, dude, try some boots that are orthopedic, and I tried some of those hikes, and because I'm doing a lot of my bucking and a lot of chains on, and I put them on and I love them. I've been wearing a pair I got a pair in March last year, and I wear them almost every day.
Let's see. Yeah, well, my experience with the boots is the woods. The woods don't tear them up as bad as working on trucks, climbing up and down trucks all the time, stepping on the drag links in the front end with the nuts, and it just tears the bottom of the boots right out. And like I said, the Grizzlies, the Grizzly survivors hold up really well. When I start working in the woods a lot more, I may find out that they don't hold up as well. I don't know.
Well, you're gonna have to find something different because you're retired now.
I'm tired, is right.
Retired.
So Rick, there's one there. It's not all sinker, said.
Yeah, I know years ago that they passed a law where you couldn't cut down cypress trees, but I don't know if that's just on, I don't know, may be able to cut it down on private land, but I just don't know enough about it to say for sure. All right, so looks like Alan's bidding good night. 4 a.m. comes early. Come on, ain't that early.
Flat feet, bad ankles. I kill shoes and boots.
Yeah, that would wear a pair of boots out quick.
Steve's been up since 3. Merry Christmas and good night to all.
We appreciate you
Good
coming
night,
along here,
Steve
Steve.
and Alan.
Good night, Steve.
Thanks for coming along. Merry Christmas to you too.
Thanks for participating tonight.
Well, guys,
So-
it looks like things are slowing down.
I know I am.
Yeah. It may be time to shut this down. Get out of here a little early tonight. We appreciate everybody coming along with us. If you got a quick question, throw it out there. Otherwise, we're going to bid everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and hope everybody has a prosperous and a healthy New Year. Anything else anybody wants to throw out there?
Amen.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, everybody.
Merry
Thank you,
Christmas.
thank
Happy
you
New Year.
everybody for watching. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
We'll see you next month.
All right.
Absolutely.
Third Saturday of the month.
Third Saturday next month, 8 p.m.
Yep.
Eastern Standard Time.
5 o'clock Pacific.
All right, guys. Good night. Have a good Christmas.
Good night,
Good night.
everybody.
Night.
We want to thank everybody for stopping by the show tonight. And remember, it's the third Saturday of every month. that we all gather and are on the show. See you later, guys.